at the FTC Kickoff event here in Denham Springs. We just learned what's on our board, and so I'm going to ask a couple of our circuit breakers what they think of it. So, Evan, how are you feeling about this season so far?
I'm feeling pretty good.
So what parts are you most excited to do on that board?
I'm most excited to get the samples out of the little box that they're in.
So what do you think we're going to need to do to get those samples out of that little submersible?
I think we're going to need to get something like dark matter's previous intake. It should work pretty good.
And so do you think that we have what it takes to get that done?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty solid chance of making it to Worlds.
So, Aiden, you're excited for our second year?
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. It's a really interesting field this season.
So last year, you are our head programmer. So what kind of programs and codes do you think we're going to need in order to make this a success?
So this year, I think that we're definitely going to need some sort of odometry system to get us a good lineup with our baskets or hanging trusses throughout the match. Besides that, I think it's going to be fairly simple because it's mostly going to be set height for lifts or extensions like that. But that's really, we're going to have to see how it goes throughout the season.
And what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge this year on that board?
Out of everything, I think the most difficult is going to be hanging, because you have to suspend yourself and then manage to flip up into the second zone.
Ooh, so we're going for the 30-point hang then.
That is the objective.
Well, that's going to be really impressive if we can do it. Do you think we're going to be able to get there?
I definitely think we'll be able to design something over the season.
Awesome. So hi, Mr. Lucas. How are you doing today?
Very well. How about you?
I am doing well. So are you excited? How are you feeling about the season so far?
I'm quite confident. I have an idea in mind already.
Ooh, do you want to share that idea?
I suppose so. So as far as I'm thinking so far, which is obviously it's a very rough prototype, but basic idea is to have a dual linear slide mechanism where the first linear slide is going to move upwards, hook on the first bar, and then reel upwards the robot until it's level with the first bar hanging. Then the second linear slide moves up, grabs the second bar, and then as it begins to reel down, it'll disengage the hook on the first, which will then roll the robot up into a hanging position.
Okay.
So the first linear slide mechanism would also function to be the linear axis for the other two mechanisms, that being placing the specimens and the samples in their respective places on the bar and in the baskets. So as for moving around the individual samples, you look at them, they require a piece that holds it like this, clamped, because otherwise the downward movement doesn't have enough force to clip it. You hold it up here and you push down, it wants to rotate. But to hold it at the bottom here to move straight downwards, the issue is that it's going to want to slide. So you have to do a full grip. However, you need to be able to orient this into a position to be held by the first linear slide in order for that to function. So a dedicated intake mechanism is required.
So I know your brother also kind of mentioned doing that second lift. So you think that getting that second lift mechanism down is going to be the best way to go for all of these challenges? Because it sounds like you have kind of an idea of making them interconnected.
So the first lift mechanism would be mostly dedicated towards the game. The second lift mechanism would be pretty much specialized for the climb itself. Now, obviously, this is a rough design, and these
I mean, it's just first ideas
in the future, but
as they should, yeah.
That's a general idea of it, at least right now.
And so, what do you think is going to be the hardest part of building this robot this year?
Balancing it mostly. It needs to be very light, but I don't want it to be too small because it has to raise very high, and you don't want to put too much torque on it because then it'll topple if it starts to move while it's fully extended. And additionally, you need both linear slides to be able to raise it without it flipping completely.
So, what are you most excited for as far as like the team, so working with all the other students as well?
Honestly, at this point, it's really hard to tell because we've had some people who are developing an interest for certain aspects just recently within last couple of days, and we've had some people who have been losing interest over the last couple of days, and so it's hard to really say what things are going to look like within a couple of weeks. But I like that people are getting more into CAD this year, because last year I was the only person to be designing the robot. So having other voices, other people capable of working with those things is going to be nice.
Yeah. So last year you were our lead designer, and this year we're looking forward to getting some more people on board with that, huh?
Well, still planning on being lead designer if I can help it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Miss Lillian, this is your first year on our robotics team, huh?
Yes, it is.
So, what do you think of the challenges ahead of us this year?
I feel like it'll be very difficult, but I feel like it'll also be very exciting.
hmm And so, what challenges do you think that we're going to be able to conquer?
Definitely the specimens, and most definitely the samples. I feel like we'll be able to easily gain points with those.
Yeah. So, what parts of a robot do you think we would need to add to our machine in order to get it to do those things?
I feel like we would have to have some sort of claw with maybe rubber tips at the ends of the claws to like be able to grab onto and hold onto the specimens and samples.
So, what are you most excited for this year at all of our competitions?
Hopefully participating in them, like actually on the field.
Well, hopefully we see you on that field, huh?
Hopefully.
So, Luke, this is your first year working on a robot as well, huh?
Yeah,
What are you most excited for this year?
I'm excited to learn how to code.
Ooh, learn how to code. So, what kind of codes do you think we might need to accomplish some of those tasks in the challenge?
I'm not really sure.
Not really sure. Excited to learn, though, huh?
Yeah,
So, which challenge do you think is the most exciting to you?
probably try and stay on top of that, onto that top bar.
Ooh. So, what kind of mechanics do you think we're going to need to accomplish that task?
Some sort of extendables to grab onto the lower than top bar to pull us up.
Ooh, I agree. Is there anything else that you want to share about this year?
No, not really.
Not really. Mr. Eden, you are one of our younger members. You aren't allowed to be part on the field, but you are going to be helping us in the workshop, right?
Yep.
So, do you think that any of the challenges that we saw might be transferable to the Lego League as well?
Maybe.
Maybe? You want to explain how, maybe?
Well, the hook mechanism and what's one?
So the extension, so we got to do some of that on on the Lego robot as well, huh? Which of these challenges do you think is the most exciting to you this year on this board?
The hanging part.
The hanging part. And what do you think that we're going to need in order to accomplish that hang?
Hook, something to help drive up.
Some hooks and some drives up. I agree. Is there anything else that you want to share about this year? Maybe something that you're excited for at the competitions?
No, not really.
Hmm?
No, not really.
No, not really? So you're confident. We love to see it.
Well, let's take a moment from the actual robotics people and let's ask you, as our Miss Lexi, as our 4-H sponsor and our mentor for robotics, how are you feeling today about this competition?
I am feeling pretty good. I think that this is a lot of stuff that you guys are going to be able to accomplish, and I'm excited to see y'all really thrive this year and get some of those challenges finished.
Do you have any ideas for fundraising and to go through 4-H?
Ooh, that's a good idea. So I think I really like that we have kind of started talking about those lamps, and then every once in a while I go back to the earring idea. I want to sell earrings. I think I'm biased. I love earrings, so I would buy some. But other than that, I think I'd like to see us do some workshops. I'd like to offer workshops to people in 4-H, especially without having to charge an extra price. But at the same time, if that's what it requires for us to use as a fundraiser to buy some of the materials, I think that would also be okay.
How is it like teaching us or mentoring us?
Well, I don't know much about the robotics part. I'm going to be honest with that. But I'm hoping that this year I get to teach you guys a little bit about presentation skills, a little bit about teamwork. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of y'all. I think that everyone on the team has a lot to offer. So I'm excited to see some of what you guys have.
And here's a real big question. Are you having fun this year?
I'm always having fun.
That's great.
So, Mr. Kevin, how are you feeling about this year so far?
I think this is going to be an incredibly fun year. Believe it or not, well, we already have quite a few ideas on how we're going to do this, but I think it's going to involve a lot of teamwork when it comes to your partner on the other side of the field, believe it or not. So we could maximize our performance, and then depending on who our teammate's going to be, our game would radically change.
Well, that's how it kind of was last year, but I kind of see where you're coming from. A lot of it also depends on, I don't want to say luck, but I think that having all of the different color specimens in the middle is going to be its own challenge in getting those sorted.
Believe it or not, I think this year is actually going to be easier than last.
Oh no, I agree completely. So
Last year was insane. So we're going to Worlds
you think we're going to
because
Worlds?
we are the GOAT.
I agree. I agree. Go, 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 go,
Goat, 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 goat. I have no regrets. I won this GOAT fair and square. We are the greatest of all time.